Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Nicola Donnelly, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Warrant Officer Rodney Wallace. This evening's last post ceremony commemorates the 80th anniversary of a kamikaze attack on HMAS Australia during the Battle of Lingayen Gulf in the Second World War. Lingayen Gulf in the Philippines had been a strategic position for the Japanese and Allied forces for the duration of the war. In early 1945, an Allied amphibious operation was underway with Allied warships bombarding suspected Japanese positions along the Lingayen coast from the Gulf. On the 5th of January 1945, a kamikaze dive was made vertically into HMAS Australia's upper deck amidships on the port side. The explosion killed 25 and wounded 30 of the cruiser's crew. A fire set by the explosion was soon extinguished, and reports indicated damage was slight and fighting efficiency was not greatly impaired. Over the following days, however, HMAS Australia's would be subjected to multiple attacks until she was badly damaged on the 9th of January and ordered to return to Sydney for repairs. Today, we remember and honour HMAS Australia and all of those who served and sacrificed with her during the Second World War. Shortly, we will tell the story of able seaman Leslie Laurence Hart, who was killed in the kamikaze attack on HMAS Australia. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
If you require a seat, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths of floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to able seaman Leslie Laurence Hart. Leslie Hart was born in Queanbeyan, New South Wales on the 1st of November 1925. Known as Les, he was one of two children born to Stanley and Esther Hart. Leslie grew up with his parents and sister Nolene in the Canberra suburb of Ainslie, where he attended local public schools for his education. After finishing his schooling, Les found work as an employee in the Department of Post-War Reconstruction following its establishment in late 1942. Les enlisted in the Royal Australian Navy on the 1st of July 1943. He was given the rating of Ordinary Seaman and commenced his initial training at HMAS Cerberus on the Morning Peninsula in Victoria. For the next 5 months, Les gained qualifications in seamanship and gunnery at HMAS Cerberus and HMAS Penguin in Sydney. In early December 1943, Les joined the crew of HMAS Australia. A large heavy cruiser had been in active service since the beginning of the war, and by the time Les arrived on board was involved in bombarding enemy-held islands in the southwest Pacific, particularly along the northeastern coast of New Guinea and the island of New Britain. The ship remained in the region for the next 10 months, providing bombardment support for Allied assaults in the Pacific from Cape Gloucester in the New Britain area to Morotai in the Netherlands East Indies. In mid-October 1944, Leslie was promoted to the rating of able seaman. Only a few days later, HMAS Australia took part in the precursor to the Battle of Leyte Gulf in the Philippines. On the morning of the 21st of October, the ship was hit by a Japanese Kamikaze aircraft, killing 30 of the crew and injuring a further 65. Captain Nichols of HMAS Shropshire reported that during the dawn stand-to, a low-flying aircraft approached from the land between Australia and Shropshire, and although under heavy fire, it passed up the port side of Australia and crashed into the foremast. There was a large explosion and an intense fire was started in the air defence position and bridges. For those on board Australia, there was little doubt the attack had been a deliberate suicide attack. One eyewitness explained that after the fact, among those who saw the incident, there was no doubt as to the pilot's suicidal intention. However, the question of whether the Kamikaze attack was an organised attack remains unsettled. Following the attack, HMAS Australia was escorted first to Manus Island and then to Espiritu Santo in the New Hebrides to undergo repairs to its damaged bridge and foremast. By early January, the repairs had been completed and Australia returned to action in the Lingayen Gulf, providing bombardment cover for the Allied invasion of Luzon Island in the Philippines. On the 5th of January 1945, HMAS Australia was once again subject to a kamikaze attack. Able Seaman Laurence Hart was one of the 25 crewmen killed in the explosion following the kamikaze attack. He was 19 years old. Leslie was buried at sea in the Lingayen Gulf soon after his death. In the years following his death, Leslie, family and friends inserted commemorative notices in his honour into the Canberra Times. On the first anniversary of his death, his loving grandma reflected that Les had been loved by all who knew him, while his parents and sister inserted the short commemorative notice, "Thy memory and our love will never die." Leslie is commemorated today on the Plymouth Naval Memorial in the United Kingdom, alongside the names of almost 16,000 sailors from Britain, Australia and South Africa who died during the Second World War and have no known grave. His name is also listed on the roll of honour on my left among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember able seaman Leslie Laurence Hart, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They have no grave but the cruel sea, no flowers lay by their head. A rustling hulk is their tombstone, fastened the ocean bed. They shall grow not old as we that left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. But they're going down on the sun, and in the morning we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.